Okay, so today we're talking about how we deal with offending behaviour. We've already looked at the aims of custodial sentencing. Today we're looking at behaviour modification. Now, we've already discussed behaviour modification. We've seen it before in schizophrenia and in the behaviourist approach. So this is taking the ideas of operant and classical conditioning and token economies and applying it to a prison setting. So behaviour modification is a scheme, we know it as a token economy, to reduce and manage and monitor offenders during their time in prison and hopefully reduce the likelihood in which they will offend. So positive reinforcement, we know well, we are simply rewarding good behaviour. The more it happens, the more we reward, we're getting that positive behaviour over and over again. With negative reinforcements, we're taking away either that positive attitude or the tokens that we've used. And remember, the tokens are secondary, so they reinforce the good behaviour, derive their value from their association with a reward. So do something good, get the token, that can be substituted for something else, but it's based on the principle of operant conditioning, specifically using positive reinforcement. So that's for AO1. So I've got a task here for you to do to list all the behaviours you would consider to be good or desirable. Which of them do you think would be most resistant to change? You can have a practice for AO2. Now, something new they've brought into the specification is designing and using a token economy. So it could be within your question, it could be an 8 marker. It might say something like, I might give you a scenario, how would you design a token economy in this instance? The first thing you'd have to do is operationalize, so make behaviors really specific and measurable. So in a token economy, a target behavior is breaking it down into its component parts. So if you talk about aggression, it could be broken further into not punching, not kicking, not slapping. It could be trying to say something positive, speaking politely. So really reducing down a behaviour into its component parts. First step. Secondly is a scoring system. So this reminds me very much of doing an observation. And this is almost like your behavioural categories. So you've decided what you're going to look at, maybe it's aggression, then you need to look at how you're going to score it. So behaviours are hierarchical, with some being regarded as more demanding than others and receiving greater rewards. So simply getting out of bed and making your bed is probably quite low down in terms of receiving tokens. Whereas, not starting a fight or you're punching people in the face, that's probably quite high up. So there'll be a system in how we rank and score each behaviour. Now, the most important thing around creating and designing a token economy is making sure your staff implement it properly and are fully trained. You want to standardise the procedure so all the staff are rewarding in the same way. If you've got some rewarding more frequently or others not at all, then the whole system doesn't work. So making sure they're trained is really important. Okay, so we have some evidence we use for AO1 and AO3 to support token economies. Now, Hobbs and Holt, 1976, already it's very outdated. Researched the effectiveness of implementing a token economy in 3 small juvenile delinquent centres. So that we're talking up until the age of 18 or 17 actually. And studied a centre with no treatment programme as a control group. So we've got 2, we have a comparison group. those who haven't used the token economy and those who have. Staff were trained to look at these target behaviours, trained in how to record it. They were standardised in what they were going to use as a reward and things that they wanted to see. So chores, being cooperative, social interaction, being polite. And here, this is in a juvenile delinquent centre in the 3 areas, all boys. Told what behaviours they could earn tokens for. So if you're really polite to people, I'll give you 5 tokens. These can be swapped immediately for a whole host of things, sweets, cigarettes. And then in the institutions where we see the token economy, we had an increase in the behaviours we wanted to see. So before the token economy was introduced, we saw desired behaviours 66, 47 and 73% of the time. After the token economy programme, the TEP, had been introduced, desired behaviour was 91, 81 and 94. So we're clearly seeing an effect. We're seeing positive behaviour, but the main question is, how do you know that's because of the token economy? And also, how ethical and real, true to life is a token economy? I mean, if I was told that I would, immediately get £10 just for getting up every day, you're instantly more motivated, but that's just not how life works. So maybe it's not necessarily that applicable. We'll come back to that. So here, based on that study, Hobbs and Holt, I have 8 questions for you to think of. A few of them I've kind of touched upon. We've got a control group. Why would the staff need to be trained? Why is that useful? It was longitudinal. Why is that good? It used all boys. Is that a problem? Ecological validity. Again, why is that an issue? And how could it be seen as unethical? So have a look at those questions and answer them. That's useful for critiquing Hobbs and Holt. Then we'll delve into specific AO3. So token economies are really easy to implement. They're cost effective. Anyone can do it, but staff have to be trained. Blackburn's kind of saying what I said here, that any changes in behaviour you might see, as soon as they leave that prison setting, they're going to revert back to their old ways because it's really hard to apply that in day-to-day life. And I think that links quite nicely to the last one here. It deals with the surface learning rather than actually changing why they're acting that way. So, we can give anyone an achievement point for picking up rubbish, but it doesn't deal with the why they're dropping rubbish in the first place. So it's very surface level. And furthermore, ethically, it's very manipulative, it's dehumanizing, and, it's like a form of bribery, which kind of takes away a lot of free will. So it's cost effective, it's cheap, have to be trained, it's very passive, not necessarily that true to life. Okay, then what I have here is a bit of practice of research methods. I'd always say you do this, especially because here we've got which test would be most appropriate. So I do have the answers. Try your best to not look ahead. It's always good to practice. And then anything you want me to pick up, just let me know.